Tonight on Size Eyes in the Skies.
It is a cold evening here across central Iowa. Let's start out with a look at our Iowa DOT camera. Up to the north at Clear Lake, you can see a little bit of snow remains on the ground from yesterday's snowfall. A look at the almanac here in Ames today. You can see it was a very cold day today with the low this morning bottoming out at 20 at Ames Airport. We did manage to warm up though this afternoon with a high temperature of 39 degrees. And you can see that is nearly 20 degrees below normal for where we should be this time of year. Coming up, I'll tell you more about when we will see a warm-up and what the rest of the week holds.
Trey also has your national forecast. All that and much more as this Tuesday, October 27th, almost Halloween edition of Size Eyes on the Skies starts now.
Live from Studio 171 in Ames, Iowa, the Iowa State Meteorology Department team of meteorologists brings you the latest weather from around the country and out your front door. Iowa State's longest-running television program and the only live weather broadcast on campus starts right now. This is Size Eyes on the Skies.
Now it's time for tonight's weather story. On this date in 1980, an unusually heavy October snowfall affected most of Iowa, kind of like what we had last week. Beginning in the northwestern sections on the 26th, then spreading two-thirds of the state on the 27th. It was the first measurable snowfall of the year in Iowa, and in terms of statewide average went down as the heaviest October snowstorm since 1925. I think we broke that record this year. Reported accumulations included 5 inches at Greenfield and Logan and Sidney, 6 inches at Ottumwa, 7.4 inches at Des Moines, and 9 inches at Pella. At Des Moines, this storm produced the only measurable snowfall of the month, but it was enough to make it their snowiest October on record. Now, here's Trey with a look at our national forecast.
Welcome back to Size Eyes on the Skies. Let's take a look now at your national forecast. We're going to begin with a look at our national temperatures across the U.S. this evening. And one of the things that you can clearly notice from this map is that we have a very large and expansive cold air mass in place across the region. You can see those cold temperatures extending down into the southern plains and then back into the portions of the Midwest as well this evening. So it's a very cold evening. Temperatures in the 30s across Kansas City, Minneapolis as well. But the coldest reading that we can see on this map right now is currently 29 degrees in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And that is where they've had quite a few wintry weather issues. And in that whole corridor, basically from portions of New Mexico back into Texas and Oklahoma. Here's a look at the satellite and radar picture right now across the nation. You can clearly see we are looking at a very slow-moving upper-level storm system over the desert southwest responsible for bringing all this wintry weather to portions of Texas and Oklahoma. You can see some rain extending back to the northeast of that as well, along and just to the north of that frontal boundary. And then down to the southeast, we are watching our next approaching tropical system, yet another one. This will be the 11th landfalling system that we will have here this season coming up from the south. This is Tropical Storm Zeta. So let's take a closer look right now at our watches and warnings that we have in place right now across the U.S. And we're going to go down to the south and south plains where we've got all these wintry weather alerts. You can see a winter storm warning in effect for areas of east central New Mexico, back into west Texas and the Texas Panhandle. And then the counties here shaded in dark purple, that is where we have an ice storm warning that is in effect. That ice storm warning has been in effect since yesterday, and we've seen major problems with freezing rain from areas from Oklahoma City back down into northwest Texas this evening. So keep those folks in your thoughts. There's been a lot of damage as well, a lot of power outages as well. So a lot going on there. Then we head over to the deep south into the southeastern U.S. We've got a whole other set of issues relating to the tropics. This is a look at the Hurricane Zeta that will be coming up from the south and then making landfall over the next couple of days. We've got hurricane warnings in effect for portions of southeastern Louisiana back into southern Mississippi, and then tropical storm warnings extending northeast of that into Alabama and Florida, and then inland hazards will exist from that as well in the form of flash flooding. Here's a closer look at the tropical satellite right now. You can see here's a closer look at Zeta, currently a 65-mile-per-hour tropical storm. That system will continue to work its way up to the north and to the northwest, strengthening into a Category 1 hurricane. Landfall will likely occur Wednesday evening here across southeastern Louisiana, and then that system will continue to work its way up into Alabama and Georgia with continued threat of heavy rain and strong gusty winds. A look at the upper atmosphere over the next couple of days. We're going to watch these two systems, mainly looking at a cutoff low over the desert southwest and our tropical system here. You can see that tropical system will continue to move up to the north and then eventually turning to the northeast. That cutoff low to the desert southwest and then moving into the southern plains will keep that system from tracking any farther to the west. But that system, that hurricane, will make landfall as we get into Wednesday evening, Wednesday night across southeastern Louisiana. Meanwhile, with the upper level low over the southern plains, a continued threat for wintry precipitation and then heavy rain as well. That system will begin to pick up speed though as we get into Thursday. We'll start to get some more jet stream energy working in on the backside of that. So that should help to kick that system along, and then we'll start to see high pressure build in behind that, allowing for a return to warmer conditions and calmer conditions as well. Here's a look at the future cast over the next 12 to 24 hours with our clouds and radar. We're going to be watching that very slow moving system with the wintry precipitation across the southern plains, and then also looking at our Hurricane Zeta, making landfall with widespread rain with both of these systems across the lower Mississippi Valley and into the southeast. That system will begin to move up into the east coast and the northeast as we get into Friday, late Thursday into Friday, with more widespread rain. Here's a look at the high temperatures for tomorrow. High temperatures, you can see we're looking at that cold pocket still across the South Plains where we've got the wintry precipitation, warmer though across the southeast, and that's associated with all that tropical moisture coming up with Hurricane Zeta. Here's a look at the week ahead. You can see Amarillo, Texas is my select city. That is where we're going to see some big changes over the next couple of days, going from wintry weather tomorrow to much warmer conditions as we get into this weekend. Look at next Tuesday, a high of 70 degrees.
Now it's time for tonight's trivia question. What does METAR stand for? Is it A, Meteorological Aerosol Report, B, Meteorological Airport Report, C, I don't know, Ask Dave, or D, Trick Question, it doesn't exist? We'll have your answer coming up, but now here's Trey with a look at your Iowa forecast.
Welcome back to Size Eyes on the Skies. I'm here now with a look at your Iowa forecast. Let's take a look at our current conditions right now. We've got temperatures falling into the 30s here in Ames. Winds are out of the south-southwest at around 5 to 10 miles per hour. And notice your feels like temperature down into the 20s and a very dry air mass in place this evening with a dew point currently sitting in the low 20s. Here's a look at temperatures across the state this evening. You can see we are definitely falling from our afternoon highs earlier. Temperatures now falling back into the upper 20s and lower 30s across most of the state, and we are headed for a very chilly night tonight. Here's a look at the weather headlines for this upcoming week. We've got freezing temperatures on the way tonight, but that will give way to milder conditions as we get into the later part of this week, and then also looking at generally dry conditions as well. So not really looking at too much in the terms of active weather over the next several days here across central Iowa. Here's a look at the satellite and radar picture this evening. We got a surface high pressure located along the Nebraska and Kansas border this evening. The flow around that, the clockwise flow around that, is beginning to bring us some southwesterly winds here at the surface. And so with those southwesterly winds, that will eventually allow us to see some milder air come up from the west into the southwest as well. So we will begin to get rid of that Arctic air mass that really invaded the region this past Sunday and Monday. A look at the future clouds and radar over the next several days here. Really not too much going on for tomorrow. We've got a clear sky across most of the state. Notice all your clouds associated with that storm system down to the south. And really, that's with that cutoff upper level low that I mentioned in the national forecast earlier. That should be tracking to the south of Iowa. But as we get into late Wednesday and early Thursday, we may see some clouds from that system come up into our southern counties, but also some clouds coming in from the north as well with a weak frontal boundary. But Thursday will likely be the cloudiest day and the coolest day over the next several days. And then once this system begins to move on out, that will open the door to much warmer conditions as a ridge of high pressure begins to filter in as we get into the latter part of this week and this upcoming weekend. Looking ahead here on our future sky forecast over the next several days, we get into Friday and Saturday. Again, we are looking at high pressure beginning to build into the region, a much drier day and then much nicer conditions as well. As we get into Saturday, we'll have a strong southerly flow coming in. We have a weak little upper level short wave that will be moving through the region. region. That system will pass through the region dry as there's not really enough moisture. And you can see that system as it gets to the east of the region, we'll start to see a little bit of precipitation with that. And then as we get into Sunday, a northwesterly flow will bring us some much cooler conditions. But overall, really not looking at much more in the way of precipitation and really not looking at any long-lasting or substantial Arctic air masses. Here's a look at the futurecast temperatures. As we get into the morning hours tomorrow, it's going to be a cold morning with everyone down near or below the freezing point tomorrow morning. As we get into the afternoon hours tomorrow, though, take a look at how your temperatures do begin to rebound into the 50s, especially across our southern counties. Now, where we've got the snowpack on the ground to the northwest, it may be a little bit colder. And then as we get into Thursday morning, another chilly start, but a little bit warmer than what it will be on Wednesday morning. And then we've got the clouds again on Thursday afternoon with highs in the lower and middle 40s. And then as we get into Friday afternoon, notice we begin to see our temperatures rebound, looking at those 50s, making an appearance once again across the state. Your forecast for tonight, a low of 26 degrees here in Ames with a few clouds down to the south, winds out of the southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. For tomorrow, a high of 50 degrees under mostly sunny skies with milder conditions, winds out of the west-northwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. If you're going to be hanging out watching the game on Saturday, should be a gorgeous day. High temperature reaching the upper 50s Saturday afternoon, and you can see the pregame up to kickoff highs in the 50s as well. And then we will continue to see those temperatures warm up before another cold front comes in as we get into the day on Sunday. Here's a look at the extended forecast. Over the next several days, you can see Thursday will be our coldest day, but notice we start to see our temperatures warm up. Look at Saturday, a high of 59 degrees. That will be ahead of another little shortwave trough that we mentioned that will be coming through on Sunday with a brief shot of some cooler air. And then look at next week, we begin to introduce 60s back into the region as we get into Tuesday.
Thanks, Trey, for that Iowa forecast. Let's take another look at tonight's trivia question. What does METAR stand for? Is it A, Meteorological Aerosol Report, B, Meteorological Airport Report, C, I don't know, Ask Dave, or D, Trick Question Doesn't Exist? Let's see what our viewers have to say. Looks like 10% picked A, Meteorological Aerosol Report, and D. 30% said that we should ask Dave, and 50% of you said Meteorological Airport Report. The correct answer is C, Meteorological Airport Report. So about 50% of you actually did get the correct answer. Fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, the answer is not Ask Dave. That's all for this edition of Size Eyes in the Skies. Please make sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. You can find every show on YouTube under our Size Eyes channel. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next Tuesday.